room 2 gets on with us. Ms. Malgioso and Ms. Dunlap, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hopefully our calendar is not as extensive as yesterday.
Thank God.
But as
I
soon as
left
I
at
said,
8 o'clock.
oh, no,
Yes.
extraordinarily big calendar yesterday. So
Mhm.
hopefully we'll move through this one quicker today.
Yes.
Okay, courtroom 2, we're ready whenever you are.
All right, we're all set, Your Honor.
Okay, let me go ahead and make my announcement. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you. You have a right to have an attorney present at these proceedings. We're providing you with the assistance of a public defender this afternoon if you do not have a private attorney and choose to utilize the public defender's service. Who do we have first?
We'll go with position number 1, Mr. Bailey.
And good afternoon, Mr. Bailey. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001427Y with 2 counts of simple battery family violence. Good afternoon, Mr. Howard. Is there a history?
Hey, 7 total. Resident of California. His last arrest was for assault with a firearm on person, threatened crime with intent to terrorize. Pay received money for adoption. Okay. Exhibit deadly weapon and vandalism. 2014 assault with a deadly weapon, terrorist threats.
Yes, Ms. Tucker.
Yes, Judge. We're asking for $1,000 good bond. That's $500 on each, with the conditions no further contact with Lakeisha Bailey and to stay away from 327 Peters Street in Atlanta. This incident did occur in April 19th of last year. The facts allege that this defendant and the victim are divorced and they were arguing over their autistic son, an issue with him. This defendant spit on this victim and struck her in the face, although there were no visible injuries. We did attempt to reach her. We were not able to get in contact with her, but if we could sound for Miss Lakeisha Bailey in a few moments. But ultimately, based on the history, we're asking for that $1,000 good bond, 500 on each.
Is this your case, Mr. McLean?
Yes, sir. I think they all are today. In between, I'll finish my interview with Sutton. He's going to waive. On Mr. Bailey, Jonathan Bailey is 36. He's from California. He's visiting with us again today. He lives in Victorville, where he grew up. He has about 3/4 of his bachelor's degree in business management done. He's been to college. He works as a manager in Frontier Communications for a year, worked for Amazon for a half year, and worked in Frontier, the same company before, for 4 years in a smaller capacity. He used to do merely installing and repairing, and now he's worked his way up to manager. We would ask the court to consider, since he has a stable address, even though it's not here, a signature bond if it's legally possible, but a minimal bond if it's not.
Okay, if Miss Lakeisha Bailey's on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. It'll be a $500 good bond per charge, makes for a total of $1,000 good bond. No further contact with Miss Bailey. Stay away from the Peter Street address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
Next we have Mr. Dudley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dudley. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001429F with battery. It's your history, Mr. Howard.
And you got to open armed robbery act assault with a deadly weapon. It's 23 SC 190-393. On probation, criminal trespass, and trespass damage to property and disorderly conduct. He does have a probation hold. A couple of FTAs in the system.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
Yes, Judge, we'd be asking for a $2,500 good bond with conditions no further contact with Ashanti Barber and to stay away from the Citgo gas station at 2048 Stanton Road in East Point. The facts allege that officers were dispatched to a fight. When they pulled up, they found the victim crying hysterically with multiple visible bruises on her chin and a busted lip. She said she had been beaten up by her boyfriend, the defendant. She also had bruising on her left shoulder and a carpet burn from being dragged across the floor the night before by the defendant. This victim lives with her mother. It's my understanding of the reading that the defendant does not live there. We did attempt to reach the victim in this case. We were unsuccessful, but I would also be asking for a stay away from wherever she is residing with her mother. Based on that open armed robbery that he's out on bond for, as well as 2 FTAs in the past 3 years, I believe a $2,500 good bond is very reasonable in this case, with conditions no further contact and to stay away. If we could sound for Miss Barber in case she did find the link.
Ms. Barber's on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ja'Cory Dudley is 25. He's lived in Georgia all his life. Went to Mays High School and graduated. He's worked as a tattoo artist and worked in the food industry over the last 5 years. We'd ask the court to consider the lowest bond possible, a surety bond if that's possible, but if not, then a $1,000.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 good bond, no further contact with Ms. Barber. Stay away from the Citgo on Stanton Road. Stay away from Ms. Barber's residence. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Dudley.
Go to ACDC.
Okay, who do we have at ACDC?
Good afternoon, Judge Morrow. This is going to be position number 6, Ms. Mathis.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ms. Mathis. I'm Judge Eric Morrow. This is the State Court Expedited Accusation Calendar that we're conducting by video. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001434D with simple battery family violence. It's my understanding that this is Ms. Mathis's first arrest. Yes, Ms. Margizio.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, on March 17th, 2025, at around 3:47 a.m., officers were dispatched to a report of a fight in progress at 925 Washington Street Southwest, Atlanta, Georgia. When the officers arrived, Mr. Ferguson, which is the victim in this case, stated that he had a verbal altercation with the defendant, Ashley Mathis, who is the mother of his 2 children. According to Mr. Ferguson, the verbal altercation happened because the defendant arrived at Mr. Ferguson's mother's house unannounced, and he wanted her to leave. The defendant told the officers that she came to confront Mr. Ferguson about him cheating on her. The officers could smell alcohol, and she appeared to be intoxicated. However, she denied that she had been drinking. But Mr. Ferguson did say that they had been drinking together earlier that evening. While they were interviewing the defendant, Mr. Ferguson walked by and made some comments that appeared to provoke Ms. Mathis. And as he was entering the home, Ms. Mathis suddenly turned around towards Mr. Ferguson, ran towards the entryway, and punched Mr. Ferguson multiple times in the back of the head. After observing this, the officers arrested Ms. Mathis. The state recommendation is $1,000 signature bond through pretrial, no drug, alcohol, or weapons while bond, and no contact with Mr. Ferguson. The reason that we are recommending this is because of the lack of any prior criminal history. And we also have not been able to contact the victim in this case. We tried to call and left a voice message. So until I guess we hear from Mr. Ferguson to see if he wants further contact, we recommend not contact.
Person is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ashley Mathis is 38. She has graduated from Washington High School, but went on to technical college and got certifications or degrees rather in phlebotomy and dental hygienist training. She's employed by a large company and she's a supervisor for the last half a year. And for 3.5 years before that, she worked at Stitch Fix. You know, we agree with the signature bond, but we think the amount may be too high. So we would ask the court to put that more like $1,000 or $2,000 for a signature bond.
I believe that $1,000 signature bond was requested, Mr. McLean. So, given that there's no objection, it'll be it will be $1,000.
Different number. I'm sorry.
Okay. It will be $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Mr. Ferguson. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Ms. Mathis.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. See you next time. Thank you.
Okay.
Got you in and out today.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
Who do we have next?
Position number 3, Mr. Green.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Green. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001433F with battery family violence, simple battery family violence, and cruelty to children in the 3rd degree. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
3rd, I got an open theft by taking and theft by receiving in state court. 2023, battery in a public transit vehicle station conviction. The act of assault with that arrest was dismissed. That's all.
Okay, who's presenting for the state?
Ms. Dunlap, is that your case? Green?
It is, Your Honor. Apologies.
Oh, no worries. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Dunlap.
Okay. This incident date was on March 17th, 2025 at 110 Griffin Street Northwest in Atlanta. Officers responded to a domestic dispute call, made contact with the victim, Miss LaQuanda Harris, who stated her and the defendant, who is her boyfriend, he picked her up and slammed her into the ground regarding an argument they had about him wanting to return a comb to his female hairstylist. Ms. Harris stated she believed that they may have something more going on and began to use profanity towards the defendant, threw his clothes outside, to which he became angry and struck her with a closed fist, resulting in a cut to her lip, and then slammed her to the ground. All of this took place in front of the minor with initials N.H, who told officers the defendant threw her mommy to the floor. The state is looking for a $3,000 surety bond in this case, a stay away from 110 Griffin Street Northwest, no further contact with the minor, initials N.H, no further contact with LaQuanda Harris, 1 day anger awareness, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, and if we can sound for the victim when appropriate.
Ms. Harris is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Tyrese Green is 24, graduated high school, intends to get more schooling. He has worked at Chick-fil-A, Kellogg Packaging, Lowe's, Home Improvement, driving a delivery truck, and so on. And mainly he's been doing bartending as well. Your Honor, we'd ask for a signature bond if that's possible, or a $1,000 surety if it's not. He has a stable address.
Okay, for the battery, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For the cruelty, a $500 signature bond through pretrial level 2. For the simple battery, a $1,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Makes for a total of a $3,500 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No further contact with Ms. Harris. Stay away from the Griffin Street address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond.
Your Honor, I also had requested no further contact with the minor, initials
Okay.
N.H.
Okay, Mr. McLean, is Mr. Green the minor's child, the father of the minor?
I failed to ask him that, Your Honor. I think it'd be okay to just ask him now.
Okay, I'm reticent to keep a father away from their child. Is a child yours, Mr. Green?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, so no further contact with the minor child. Good luck to you, Mr. Green.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Who do we have next?
We have position number 4, Mr. Hurd Jr.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hurd Jr. You've been charged with, in case 25 CR 001428A, with battery, family violence, battery against a female who is pregnant, and willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
18. On probation enforcement for drugs. 22 SC 184-759. On probation out of Cobb for robbery. 2023 probation. Couple of probations from 2022, one from 2020. 2019 felony theft by taking conviction. 2017 battery conviction.
Okay, Ms. Tucker?
Yes, Judge. On the battery family violence, we're asking for $1,500 good bond. On the battery against a pregnant female, $1,500 good. And on the obstruction, $500 good, for a total of $3,500 total good bond, with conditions no further contact with Kia Whitlock, and to stay away from 980 Howell Mill Road, Unit 1019 in Atlanta. These facts allege that the defendant confronted the victim about some video he had recorded of her. He accused her of cheating. Then he repeatedly punched her, forcibly removed her wig, spit on her, and kicked her in the stomach, resulting in a busted lip and bruising on her forehead. This victim and the defendant share a child, and this victim is 7 weeks pregnant. When officers made contact with the defendant in the stairwell, he attempted to flee. They were able to get him, but based on the, extensive criminal history, The fact that battery against a female pregnant or against a pregnant female is a high and aggravated misdemeanor, as well as the attempt to flee shows a flight risk. I believe that $3,500 total good bond is appropriate. We did attempt to reach Miss Whitlock. We were unsuccessful. If we could sound for her now.
If Miss Whitlock is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Nathias Hurd graduated Tucker High School, went to CDL school to get his trucking certification, also went to Alabama State University for 2 years. He's halfway through his business degree. He's worked at Porter Logistics and Dollar General and Sky Cafe as a driver at the airport, driver assistant. Your Honor, we would ask the court, he has a stable address in Powder Springs. That'll be a good mail. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond, and if not, then a 1,000 surety.
For the battery family violence, it'll be a $1,500 good bond. For the battery against a female who is pregnant, will be a $1,500 good bond. For the obstruction, a $500 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,500 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Whitlock. Stay away from the Howell Mill Road address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Hurd.
Thank you.
Welcome. Who do we have next?
Next, we have position number 5, Mr. Jackson.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001426F with battery family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
2022, death by taking dismissed. 2022 burglary, death by taking dismissed. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Tucker?
Yes, Judge, we're asking for a $5,000 good bond in this case with conditions no further contact with Victoria Sanders, as well as to stay away from 1871 Plaza Lane, apartment D15 in Atlanta. The facts allege that this defendant and the victim lived together, although this incident occurred in December of last year. But on this night, they got into an argument, so the victim asked the defendant to leave. Later that night, he came back, and as soon as she opened the door, he pulled out his gun and struck her on the side of the face with it, leaving visible bruising and swelling. We were able to get in contact with the victim in this case. She stated they're still in a relationship. They do not live together anymore. They have no children. She confirmed the events in the warrant, but stated this is the first time it's happened. She wants to have contact with him, but based on the violence alleged, the state's position is going to be no further contact, as well as he did have 2 felony juvenile charges when he was a juvenile, and I believe he's still young. So there was an aggravated assault in juvenile court and an armed robbery. So between the history and the violence alleged in the facts, we're asking for that $5,000 good bond with condition no further contact and to stay away. Ms. Sanders indicated she would be on the Zoom if we could sound for her now.
Ms. Sanders, I see you there. If you would like to address the court, now is your opportunity. I'll need for you to unmute yourself, activate your camera, and I'll have to swear you in.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sanders. I appreciate you being here. Mr. McLean?
Thank you, Your Honor. Trevion Jackson is 24. He finished his high school education by virtue of his GED. He is now a music singer-songwriter. He has worked in a warehouse doing forklift driving and worked at Waffle House for a couple of years before this past year at the warehouse. But mostly now he's making it in his music. Your Honor, he asked the court to consider a signature bond, and if not, then a surety bond, which is as low as possible.
Okay, it will be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further contact with Ms. Sanders. Stay away from the Plaza Lane address. He is to relinquish all firearms. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Jackson. You're welcome.
Next, we'll go to position number 6, Mr. Pompey.
Okay, on my calendar, Mr. Pompey is position number 7. I think
Sorry,
we
yeah.
did 6. Okay, that's.
Yep.
All right, very good. Good afternoon, Mr. Pompey. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001435B with 2 counts of criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
28 on probation out of card. Drug possession within 1,000 feet of schools. Alcohol possession on public school grounds. Possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 with intent. That's out of card. 2024 probation. 2019 and 18 probation. 2017 criminal damage to property conviction. 2017 felony obstruction conviction. 2014 obstruction conviction.
Okay, no, Melchizedek?
Yes, Your Honor. The facts allege that on March 17th, 2025, around 7 a.m., Officer Burke Smith was dispatched to Bajatel Inn Hotel located at 4120 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, Atlanta, Georgia, in reference to a male causing a disturbance outside of room 213. Ms. Renee Mullins, which is the victim in this case, told the officer that she had been trying to get the defendant, who is the father of her child, to leave the property, but he refused. Ms. Mullins also told the officer that when the defendant got there, she refused to open the door, and then the defendant proceeded to kick in the window. The officer did observe visible damage to the window. The victim was concerned about having to pay for these damages, but she did stated that the defendant did not physically harm her, and that she just wanted him to leave her alone. The state recommendation is a total of $1,500 bond. That'll be 1,000 signature bond through pretrial for count 1 and $500 signature bond through pretrial for count 2, with conditions that the defendant stay away from the Bajatel Inn Hotel located at the 4120 Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and also to stay away from the victim. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And we also ask that if the defendant post bond, he be released to Cobb. There is an active bench warrant in that county, from my understanding. And the reason for the recommendation is the defendant's criminal history, the nature of the incident, and the fact that there is the outstanding warrant in Cobb.
Tell me the name of the alleged victim again.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
The name of the alleged victim?
Yes, absolutely. It's Renee Mullins, Mullins.
Ms. Mullins is on the line and wishes to address the court. Now is your opportunity. Mr. Howard, I don't see any other criminal trespasses on his history. Am I right about that?
I don't recall seeing any. I
Okay,
can look real. Yeah.
I don't see any on the sheet that I was given, so I assume that there weren't any. Okay, thank you. Mr. McLean?
Signature bond would be appropriate, Your Honor. He's a barber. Thank you, that's all.
I'm going to release him to that hold. As such, it'll be $1,000 signature bond through the jail on each count, which makes for a total of a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No further contact with Ms. Mullins. Stay away from the Fulton Industrial Boulevard address, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Pompey.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll go to position number 8, Mr. Randolph.
Good afternoon, Mr. Randolph. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001436H with battery. Is your history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah, let me see something real quick. I got an October 2024 battery out of College Park on the GCLC. And I got a March 2025 driving without a valid license, Clayton County. This is 3rd cycle.
That's also my case, Your Honor.
Okay.
The facts allege that on October 20th, 2024, around 10:30 in the morning, A College Park Police Department officer was dispatched to 1818 Vesta Avenue, College Park, Georgia. In response to a domestic dispute, the officer observed that Ms. Randolph, the victim in this case, had a torn shirt at the back and fresh blood visible in her hands. Ms. Randolph told the officer that she lived with the defendant for a decade. She had been out the night before. While she was out, the defendant kept sending her text messages indicating that her belongings were going to be placed outside the house. The victim arrived the next morning, and the defendant told the victim that he wanted her to leave. Ms. Randolph went into the bathroom, and the defendant started kicking the bathroom door. The defendant then forcefully dragged Ms. Randolph, which resulted in the injuries. He grabbed her and dragged her, and that resulted in the injuries to her hand and the torn shirt. The victim and the defendant are married. They currently do not live together, and they share 2 children. The state's recommendation is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial with conditions: no violent contact with Ms. Randolph, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. The reasons for this recommendation is that we did speak with the victim. She confirmed the events in the warrant, but she stated that, you know, they have gotten into physical altercations in the past, but this was the first time that the police were called. But she is not in fear of the defendant. They like to communicate so they can keep co-parenting their children. And I believe she says she'll be in Zoom, so we can sound for her in case she wants to speak.
Okay, if Ms. Randolph is on the line, or Mrs. Randolph is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here this afternoon, Ms. Randolph. Any objections to any of the state's requests, Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, we have nothing to say. Thank you.
Okay, as such, it will be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. No further violent contact with Ms. Randolph. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Randolph.
All right. You can sit down for a minute. Next, we'll go with position number 11, Mr. Tillman.
Good afternoon, Mr. Tillman. You've been charged in case 25 CR 001430J with criminal trespass. Is there a history, Mr. Howard? Mr. Howard? Do you have the history, Ms. Dunlap?
Yes, Your Honor. I have as far back as 2009. I have arrest for battery, simple battery, disorderly conduct, probation violation in 2011, 2012, 2009, 2008, possession of cocaine, possession of scheduled controlled substance, 2012, possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana, 2013, driving with suspended license, 2015, driving with suspended license, 2016. That was 3 charges. And I have a conviction of driving with a suspended license, giving false name, address, carrying a concealed weapon, transfer of a firearm by a convicted felon from 2009 as well.
Thank you.
No problem. This incident happened on March 17th, 2025, 4230 Wendell Drive Southwest. That's a Fulton Inn motel. Officers responded to the motel where the defendant failed to remove himself off the property after being given notice by the manager and the Fulton County Police Captain. The state is just looking for a signature bond through the jail. A stay away from 4230 Wendell Drive Southwest. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Any objection to any of that, Mr. McLean?
None, Your Honor. Thank you.
As such, it will be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Stay away from the motel on Wendell Drive. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Tillman.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll go with position number 12, Mr. White.
Good afternoon, Mr. White. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001432A with battery family violence. You back with me? Mr. Howard? I guess he's having some difficulties. Do you have that history, Ms. Dunlap?
I do, Your Honor. I'll start with the convictions. There was a willful obstruction, carrying concealed weapon, 2010, disorderly conduct, 2010, robbery, 2012, theft by shoplifting, willful obstruction, reckless conduct, 2014, DUI, willful obstruction, 2014, DUI, driving with a suspended license, 2018, hit and run, 2020. As far as arrest, there was a carrying concealed weapon to a public gathering, carrying a pistol without a license, carrying a concealed weapon. Again, theft by receiving stolen property, willful obstruction, 2010, DUI, 2010, simple battery, disorderly conduct, 2010, probation violation, 2010, DUI, robbery, entering automobile, burglary, simple battery, possession of a firearm, criminal trespass, 2012, probation violation, 2011, battery, family violence, battery, simple battery, family violence, simple battery, 2013, theft by shoplifting, willful obstruction, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, reckless conduct, 2013, driving with a suspended license, fleeing, 2014, probation violation, 2014, FTA, 2014, purchase, possession of marijuana, I believe that's 2 charges, driving with suspended license, 2018, probation violation, 2018, fleeing, a willful obstruction, hit and run, knowingly driving a car on suspended license, 2020, probation violation, 2021, simple battery, 2021, willful obstruction, marijuana possession, simple assault, simple battery, 2022, battery, family violence, 2022, probation violation, 2024, and a theft by shoplifting, that was 2 charges, driving with suspended license, hit and run, driving with a suspended license again in September of 2024.
Thank you.
This incident happened on October 13th, 2024 at 3260 Donald Lee Howell Parkway, Northwest in Atlanta. Officers responded to a domestic dispute and spoke with the victim, and Miss Lajane, apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, as Lajane Martin, who stated while she was in the passenger seat of her rental vehicle, defendant, who was the father of her child, struck her with open hands several times in her mouth, causing her lip to swell and a cut on the inside of her lip. Ms. Martin stated this began with a verbal dispute after they dropped their sons off to the defendant's mother. When the defendant drove to a location to meet a friend, she believes she may have said something to upset the defendant that caused him to strike her. Ms. Harris stated to the police that her black eye that was observed on the body camera was from 2 nights ago when the defendant assaulted her, and this is not the first time she has filed reports. She's filed reports in Decatur and Clayton County after she was assaulted. She got out of the car, told the defendant to get out of her rental, which he drove away with her rental car. Given the history, the state is particularly concerned with Ms. Martin's safety, and her telling officers she's filed multiple reports in different counties, suggest the defendant may be violent in nature. As such, the state is looking for a $6,000 surety bond. No further contact with Lajane Martin. We're unaware if her and the defendant are homeless, but if she does have a home address, we were unable to contact her, so stay away from her home address, a family violence intervention program, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
If Ms. Martin is on the line and wishes to address the court, now is your opportunity. Doesn't appear to. Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Hunter. 35-year-old Rashad White graduated Stockbridge High School and now lives in Ellenwood, Georgia. He's worked at 2 different restaurants in the last 5 years, 2 years in one, 3 in the other. We would ask that his address in Ellenwood appears to be a good mailing address. We would ask the court to consider the lowest bond possible, a signature bond if that is possible.
Okay, it'll be a $2,000 good bond. No further contact with Ms. Martin. Stay away from her residential address. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck, Mr. White.
Thank you. The next 3, I don't think Mr. McLean had a chance to interview them. We have 2 from the add-on, and then Mr. Sutton, I believe you were still in the process of interviewing Mr. McLean.
Right. I only have about 2 questions to ask Mr. Sutton. And what are the names of the other people?
The other 2 from the add-on calendar, Mr. Jonathan Banks and Mr. Thomas, Mr. Quill, I guess.
Yes, so both of those cases were transferred to the DA's office on Saturday. However, they need to get bonds. So we added them on to today's just to do bond hearings. They will, as soon as they get a bond, be transferred to the DA's office.
All right. What was the name besides Jonathan Banks?
The other name was, Thomas. Quintillan Thomas? Quinlan.
Okay. I
Ms.
was trying,
Grace or Ms. Bridgewater, can we send Mr. McLean a copy of the calendar? The
well,
add-on?
but I tried to print it out and then the printer messed up, so, I can try
Oh,
again.
You have a copy?
I can view it. I've already got a copy I can view, not a hard copy.
Okay, all right. So as long as you have something that you can view.
Yeah, I'll do
Um,
that.
so I'm gonna place you into the breakout room or courtroom 2, Mr. McLean, so you can talk to all 3 of them, if that's
Very
okay
good.
with you.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
before I do that, Shanice Seabrook, position number 9, what happened with her?
Oh,
She's gone.
her bond was, paid.
Okay, so she's bonded out. Okay, so we only have these 3 that are left.
Yeah.
All right, so let's place Mr. McLean in courtroom 2 into a breakout room so that he can speak with those remaining 3.
Yes, sir.
Clients. Okay, thank you, Miss Grace. And the rest of us will be in recess until he returns.
Your Honor, if you
Yes,
don't
Ms.
mind,
Bridgewater,
I'll go ahead and send you the paperwork for what I have.
of course, thank you. I'll get it back to you as well.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, are we ready to proceed, Mr. McLean?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay, and who do we have in courtroom 2? This Mr. Sutton?
I'll have to flip my camera to look at him. Yes.
Question 10, Mr. Sutton.
Okay, good
That-
afternoon, Mr. Sutton. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001431Y with simple assault family violence. Is there a history, Mr. Howard?
Yeah. You got an open case in Superior Court, 24 SC 006517. 3 counts of ag assault, 2 counts of battery. He went to felony early and got no bond.
Okay, thank you. Who's presenting for the state?
This should be Miss Dunlap again.
Yes, Ms. Dunlap, this is Mr. Sutton, position number 10.
Yes, sorry, Your Honor, my camera was frozen. Okay. This incident happened on March 17th, 2025 at 3540 North Camp Creek Parkway, Southwest. Officers were dispatched to the address regarding a domestic dispute. They observed 2 females trying to stop the defendant from leaving the apartment. 2 female victims were Anatisha, Anntesha Sutton, who is the defendant's mother, and I'm just gonna spell it. His sister's name is Janeicia, last name Climpson. Ms. Sutton told officers the defendant let himself in through the sliding broken window, entered into her room, grabbed her work laptop without her permission, and tried to leave. When she tried to follow him and stop him, he pointed a loaded BB gun at her. The victim and the sister were able to disarm the defendant. Our office did have a chance to speak to the defendant's mother. She said she's not able to attend Zoom, but she stated she would like for the defendant to stay away from her residence until she's able to file for a TPO. She said she does not feel safe around the defendant. She stated the defendant may have some mental health issues and needs help. She stated that she wants him to get some treatment. They do have an open case that is 24 SC 006517, where the defendant was already ordered to have no contact with the mother, who's ordered to stay 200 yards away. He is out on that case for a $10,000 good bond. So the state is looking for a $5,000 cash bond. And if it is a signature bond, less than $10,000 signature bond. Stay away from 3540 North Camp Creek Parkway. No further contact with the mother, Anatisha Sutton. No further contact with the sister. I think it's Janeicia Climpson. A Family Violence Intervention Program, or MHET, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, I think the latter thing is what he got, the no bond. I think the $10,000 bond was turned into a no bond, he tells me. So he's 20 years old, lived in Georgia all his life, 12th grade education, works at the Hammond Glen retirement home for less than a year. But before that, for several years, he has worked for a company called Deal Shack, which actually is a family business that he's a friend of the family, and they actually they are a vendor of things that go into retirement homes. So he's still in the same industry. We would ask the court to set the bond as low as is reasonable in this case, Your Honor.
Mr. McLean, if he does require an MHET, now might be a good time to get it started. But that's, I'm not sure if that's something that you've addressed as of yet.
I don't have a social worker at the moment, but I'll have one as soon as we hang up.
Okay, so I'll have a social worker visit him. If it's
Very good.
determined that he does need an MHET, let's go ahead and get that started, given that he's no bond in the other case. As far as this matter goes, it will be a $3,000 good bond. No further contact with the alleged victims. Stay away from the residence. Social worker visit to assess for the need for an MHET, and no drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Sutton.
Next we have Position number two, on the add-on calendar, position number two, Mr. Thomas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Thomas. You have been charged in case 25 CR 001371G with theft by shoplifting and criminal trespass. I take it there's a history, Mr. Howard?
If he was from Saturday, I still got that history. 53 total. Open shoplifting in Superior Court. It's 18 SC 163612. 25 SC 000066. 2024 bogus check, false personation, suspended license. That's open out of Oklahoma. 2024 shoplifting NOLO. 2019 probation and FTA. 2018 shoplifting conviction. 2012 shoplifting conviction. 2011 theft by taking. I thought this was sent to felony. 2010 and 08 shoplifting conviction.
I believe that it was, but it was not addressed on Saturday, and no bond has been given, is my understanding. Is that right, Ms. Tucker?
Yes, Judge, and we're asking for a $5,000 total good bond, $3,000 on the shoplifting and $2,000 on the criminal trespass. The facts allege he walked into Target, took a backpack, he had various other items in the backpack, then left without paying for the pack or anything inside. Altogether, everything cost $469.96. As you heard, the DA has already accepted this. He's got an extensive history, especially of shoplifting. I've got just 8 convictions in Fulton County alone listed out. So for those reasons, we're asking for that $5,000 good bond, 3 and 2,000.
Mr. McLean?
Mr. Thomas is from Georgia. He's 63 years old. He has a 12th grade education, and he works with glass and mirror works. He makes things, glasses and mirrors. We asked the court to set the bond at a reasonable level, and thank you.
And where was the criminal trespass again, Ms. Tucker? I'm sorry.
Yes, that was at the Target at 2539 Piedmont Road.
Okay. For the shoplifting, will be a $2,000 good bond. For the criminal trespass, $1,000 good bond, makes for a total of a $3,000 good bond. Stay away from the Target on Piedmont Road. No drugs, alcohol, weapons while out on bond. Good luck to you, Mr. Thomas.
Right.
So position number one on the add-on calendar, he refused to come again, Mr. Jonathan Banks.
On Saturday, he waived his appearance. I don't remember who was the PD on Saturday, but I have a note that he waived.
Today he's gone beyond waiving appearance. He says he claims, well, I don't know the person's name. He says that he has a private practice attorney and he's going to let him handle that. But I didn't talk to him myself. That is per the deputies.
Okay, maybe you can figure that out by tomorrow, Mr. McLean. So if you can see if you can talk to him and verify that he has a private attorney, and if so, get in touch with that person. I'm reticent to move forward with him if we don't have an actual someone here to tell me that there's a waiver, and if you haven't spoken to him. So we'll put Mr. Banks on for tomorrow, if that's okay with everyone.
That's fine. May well refuse to speak again, but we'll try.
Okay. Well, at least we know that you've tried, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Does that complete the 2 o'clock calendar?
I
Is that
believe
everyone?
so.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Bridgewater, whenever you're ready for us.
Okay. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be April the 1st. Position number 1 is reset to the SAP calendar with a total $1,000 good bond. Position 2 is going to that SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. 3 is reset further notice with a total of a $3,500 SOB through pretrial. 4 is going to the SAP calendar with a total of a $3,500 good bond. 5 is reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial. 6 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through pretrial. 7 is reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through the jail. 8, reset further notice with a $2,000 SOB through pretrial. 9 is reset further notice as the defendant has been released. 10 is going to the SAP calendar with a $3,000 good bond. 11 is reset further notice with a $1,000 SOB through the jail. 12 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 good bond. Now to the add-on calendar. Position number 1 is reset till tomorrow. And position number 2 is going to the SAP calendar with a total $3,000 good bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Okay, if not, thank you all. We appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
Oh, reset date, AP,
April the
it's-
1st.
still April 1st. Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I got those back to you, Ms. Bridgewater, as soon
Yes,
as I
and I'm
get the
about to
rest.
send you these now.
Okay, all right, thank
you.
you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Y'all take
Thank you,
care.
everybody. Have a great day.
You
I
too.
can't believe we brought that in at under an hour.
I'm glad we did.
Very,
Fine.
very good.
Hey,
See you guys.
Hopefully, gosh, yesterday was rough. See you tomorrow.
You know what, you did a very good job today. You held it down.
Just today.
Yeah, well, yesterday you were a little bit different. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, let me, I was gonna let